So we're going to continue different samplings of wonderful things devotees are doing in all different fields around the ISKCON world. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedantas Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nirvaseshas Nivari Vaskachar Desatarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we hope my voice holds up. So, have you ever seen they've got 3 buildings, skyscrapers or tall buildings, 1, 2, 3. And they want to demolish the one in the middle. And the guy goes with the plunger, and they blow the dynamite, and the building in the middle just collapses. And the other 2 buildings are fine. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do they do that? Well, what they do is they get the structural design of the building. And they figure out what they call the linchpins, or where the weight is resting. And they blow out those intersections where the weight's held. And then the building just collapses on itself of its own weight. Similarly, people have world views. There was the age of faith. There was the age of reason. There's the industrial age. There's the computer age. And with those world visions, they're based on a set of values or assumptions. Age of faith. Hell is below. Heaven is above. God controls everything. You get the Middle Ages, Dark Ages, or whatever they call it, So there's a world view. There was a world that the World War I was the war to end all wars, and we're going to have the United Nations, the League of Nations. Everyone's going to get along. There was a world view. There was the age of reason. Well, forget God, forget faith. Science is going to make a great world for us. We're going to control the laws of nature, and then we're going to actually work everything out. Hare Krishna. Don't make this too spooky. I am the voice of God. I guess we've got it on for the kitchen. Who's our sound? Somebody just came and spun some dials. But maybe there's a reason they spun the dials. Now we have someone else spinning dials. All right, whatever. So the point is that, if you need it, fine. I don't want to be too intimidating. So the point is that world views change. Now we're in a world view. These are the instructions that Prabhupada gave to the Bhaktivedanta Institute. We're going to show just a few things that our Bhaktivedanta Institute is doing. So Prabhupada said, and it's true, that our world, the general mass of people, when you meet them, they have a set of conceptions in their head. We're this body. Consciousness is just brain function. It's just a glorified computer, zeros and ones, chemical reactions, pluses and minuses, and that's what creates consciousness. That There's no God. Things are happening by laws of physics. Record law makes law maker. That's another story. But things are just happening by random chance. And there's no design. There's no purpose. The only purpose is eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we will die. So get as much gusto as you can. So that's a worldview. And when they've got, I'll give you an example. Do not think of the color blue. Okay, everybody out there, don't think about the color blue. How's it going for you? Blue, 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 you know. Now, if I tell you, don't think about the color orange. Don't think about orange. Blue's gone, right? You got orange, 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 orange. So my point is, when we're trying to present Krishna consciousness and get them to understand there's a kingdom of God, there's a spiritual world, this is not our real home, we're not this body. Consciousness is due to the presence of the soul. It's not just brain function. We're not just a biological, you know, whatever it is. It's not all just ruled by social DNA, but there's a purpose and karma. You can't put that in until you get the other thing out. You follow me? Like you can't put orange in until you get blue out. You can't get this. So Prabhupada said the duty of the Bhaktivedanta Institute was to, by scientific method, blow out the linchpins that are supporting the mechanistic, materialistic, everything can be reduced like you, whatever, that everything can be reduced to laws of physics, laws of mathematics, and that's all there is. That's reduction. Everything can be, you know, you find the smaller, this depends, like neti. This depends on this. Well, this depends on this. They had elements, and they have atoms, and they have subatomic parts. Now they have quarks and whatever. What's it all resting on? So Prabhupada said the business of Bhaktivedanta Institute is to blow out the support views for the mechanistic, materialistic, atheistic worldview, so they can then understand Krishna consciousness. And as I was saying in the beginning, world views change. It's not an impossible thing. People change worldviews, like I say, the people used to have the age of faith. People had the age of, you know, there's the age of reason. There's the age of, you know, enlightenment. There's the age of, so throughout history, people's worldviews have changed. In fact, they do change every so many years. So Prabhupada said that so Bhaktivedanta Institute, there was a letter that went out, and I think it was 1972 or 73. Koladri Prabhu told me this. Koladri Prabhu was the temple president of New Vrindavan. Now, anyone who went to New Vrindavan in those days, every temple president, certainly east of the Mississippi, had the bus schedule to New Vrindavan. And if you had someone who was, as Prabhupada would politely say, not quite in order, you'd put them on the bus to New Vrindavan. So New Vrindavan had the combination of extremely saintly people and another section that weren't quite sure where they were. We had a devotee showed up one time, and we're chanting in Balboa Park. It's you know, nice Central Park in San Diego, and it's nice weather. And this devotee says to me, "Boy, this is great weather for this time of year in Denver." I said, "You're not in Denver." I said, "You're in San Diego." She said, "I thought it was a long bus ride." Okay, we're going to put her on the bust the new Vrindavan. So you get the idea. So Kaladri gets this letter from Prabhupada. If you have anyone who has a master's or a PhD in hard sciences, I want to connect them to Bhaktivedanta Institute. And Kaladri's got this group, from, not quite sure if they were in West Virginia or where they were. And he reads Sariputta. That's the point I wanted to get to. One of my great heroes and the smartest person materially I ever met. Sariputta decided to give up everything. Now, the devotees didn't know this. He had a PhD in statistics from Cornell University. He had another PhD, so 2 PhDs, piled higher and deeper, or permanent head damage, or prominent humility disorder. So there's different needs for a PhD. But we're not anti-science, don't get me wrong. But anyway, so Sariputta had 2 PhDs, gave everything up, and moved to New Vrindavan. Simple living, high thinking. Kaladri said nobody wanted Richard Thompson. Nobody wanted Dr. Rich on their workday detail because they thought he was one of these space cases. Because they'd send Sariputta out with a team that was digging fence post holes for putting up some new fencing. And Sariputta would dig a hole, throw the dirt, and they thought he was spacing out because he would go off in an internal reverie. And they'd say, hey, Rich, back to, okay. But he'd be calculating the dirt toss and the trajectory and how it landed. I mean, it was far out, So when they read this letter, anyone with a PhD, anyone out, with a math, he said, well, I got a PhD in statistics and another one in. Kaladri said, well, that explains it then. Now we understand. So they all assembled in Atlanta, and Prabhupada met them in Atlanta and said, take the Vedic principles, consciousness, reincarnation, karma, the design means a designer. Because as soon as you accept design, there's a purpose. You've got these archaeologists and they're digging away, right? And they find some pot shards. They're always finding pieces of pots. And they put it back together and they say, oh, well, this must have been for holding grains. Well, that must mean there must have been an agrarian society. And here's another one. It looks like a little doll. Well, they must have been worshiping a fertility goddess. And they create a whole speculation off these little pot shards. So we've got our Druta Karma, who just shreds their speculation using their own methods, shreds their own speculations. So, I saw Sariputta, University of California. So now where's the clock? Okay, wow. The University of San Diego, University of California, San Diego is one of the best hard science schools in America. They're not Caltech or MIT, but they're close. So some of those, we used to have a program there, once every week, I think was it, up at UCSD. And some of the kids, students, were becoming interested in Krishna consciousness. And they went back and told the professor, hey, we're not going to your dry lecture this evening. We're going over and get some kirtan and prasadam and philosophy. So the professor came one day to save his kids from this magical thinking mumbo jumbo of the Hare Krishnas. And by Krishna's grace, Sariputta Prabhu was there. And so the man said, well, you're saying this and this and that, but actually we know that it's all just chemical reaction in the brain. And this, you can stimulate the brain or to take LSD or mushrooms, and you have a religious experience. It's just chemical reaction, And Sariputta said, well, certainly you've heard of so-and-so's experiments, and, this. And the man said, yes. And Sariputta would say this. And he'd say, well, that was countered by this argument. Sariputta said, well, that's what everybody says. But they're not up to date on what MIT they're doing with AI, artificial intelligence. And the professor was a little... And then you watch Sariputta say, he would come back with some argument. Sariputta. So it went back and forth, and systematically you watch the color drain out of this professor's face as he realized, I am being knocked from pillar to post with scientific evidence of spiritual life. And the guy said, well, I have to go, but I'll be back. We never saw him again. So Prabhupada wanted this. And out of this, maybe you've seen Origins magazine. Everybody who goes onto a college campus should study Origins magazine, because it lays out the archaeological record and what's wrong with that. Consciousness is just brain function. What's wrong with that? That everything came from a singularity, from a tiny spot, infinitesimally small, infinitely dense. They don't say it's a big bang anymore. They don't say big bang, it was a chunk. What did Prabhupada say? There was a big bang, there was a chunk, and it exploded. What was Prabhupada's simple question? Anyone know? Where'd the chunk come from, So now they say it comes from a tiny point. The top guy, Stephen Gould at MIT, he says, they can, and I've seen it. They'll have you go to those math classes at MIT or whatever, Caltech, and it's got the blackboards that slide behind each other, and they've got 6 or 7 blackboards all around the room. To explain that nothing, take 12 blackboards of mathematical calculations. So it's kind of a Buddhist nothing. It's not really nothing, but it all came from nothing. And it comes from a singularity that just everything came out of it. All intelligence, all design, all sequencing from a tiny, you can look it up, Google it, singularity. Here's another one. One of my favorites is dark matter. But here's my point. These are the things that are in their heads. From this tiny singularity, with all the information system to unpack and become this. Well, there's so many points. There's one, there's another one. Are universes popping out of them? And where did the information system, how finely balanced, sequenced, interdependent, how did it happen? So dark matter. I could make this up if I wanted to. Dark matter. There has to be a mass, they say, creates gravity. And different amounts of mass have different amounts of gravity. You ask them, what's electricity? Well, electricity is electrically charged particles. And you go all the way back. Well, what caused that? They'll tell you that electricity is caused by electricity. It's a complete circle. Gravity. Well, what's gravity? We know it comes from Lord Balaram and his Seshanaga that supports all things, according to the Bhagavatam. Well, that's magical thinking. All right, sir, what's your answer? Well, gravity is caused by mass. All right. Why? And different amounts of mass have different degrees of gravity. All right. Well, what's the next logical question? Why does mass have gravity? Well, ultimately, they'll explain that it's caused by gravitons. Well, what's a graviton? It's a particle or wave surcharged with gravity. Huh? Sounds like we went in the big circle here, you know? So Prabhupada wanted us to challenge these things. Dhruta Karma one time was asking for a grant from the construction fund, from the BBT, book sales funds, and Prabhupada said we should give money. So he was making his grant presentation for his Bhaktivedanta Institute. And he said, we have to decide, are we the Sankirtan party? Or are we the Tea party? Do we just go to the scientists and say sweet words and give them prasadam? Or do we challenge them? And we're meant to challenge, you know? Prabhupada was not shy. I saw Prabhupada, please don't try this at home. This man was explaining, you know, we say there's a source and there's a byproduct. There's a cause and there's an effect. Krishna is sarva karana karanam. He's the cause of all causes. Everything, if you go back, well, this was caused by this was caused by this. If you go back, you will find that all things rest on Krishna. Aham sarvasya pravaho. You know, what is it? Janma dasa yataha, a Vedanta Sutra. Everything rests upon Krishna, who's the cause of all causes and who is the intelligent source, the lawmaker of all laws. So Prabhupada was explaining, just like you have a cotton ball, you know, the cotton from the plant, and from that you make thread, and from the thread you make a shirt. So from the cotton ball, ultimately comes the shirt. There's the source and there's the byproduct, right? This man happened to be Indian. He was a professor in whatever it was. And he was saying, oh, cotton ball, cotton shirt is the same. Prabhupada said, if I say cotton ball or I say cotton shirt, is there a difference? Oh, Swamiji, cotton ball, cotton. So about 4 or 5 times he didn't get it. And Prabhupada reached forward, grabbed him by the shirt. He was sitting on the other side of Prabhupada's small desk, and Prabhupada shook him. Prabhupada said, if I say cotton ball or I say cotton shirt, is there a difference? And the guy's tie was ruffled, his glasses were a little off, you know, and he actually got it. So I was thinking, if there were, who is it, Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, he transferred spiritual knowledge. If this ever happened by a forceful Shakti, Prabhupada actually shook it into this guy. But, you know, that's not really a general outreach method that we go out and grab people by the shirt and say, you know, avajante mamudaha, and shake them that they're fools and rascals. So Prabhupada wanted Bhaktivedanta Institute to take scientific principles and present Krishna consciousness and blow out the materialistic, mechanistic worldviews so they could understand that Krishna consciousness makes sense. It makes the best sense. It's really the only reasonable answer. Nothing in this world, everything that we experience, there's a woodworker who made this beautiful woodwork. There's pujaris who dress the deities. Hopefully someone's cooking breakfast, right? Is it happening by chance? Did we just stack the grains in one corner and the milk in another corner and the uncut fruit? And bam! By chance, it all fell into breakfast. I mean, those are simplistic examples. But everything we experience, there's an intelligence and a designer and a purpose, right? That's our experience. Then why all of a sudden do we take this blind leap that the most complicated machine we experience happened by chance? How is that consistent logic? Show me the seamless logic. And it's just one of these top guys This guy was from, what is it called? Cavendish Laboratories, which is like MIT in the UK. Sariputta showed me the clip. He's being interviewed by the BBC. And they ask him, you know, it's either or. Either everything happened by chance or it happened with a purpose, and which means there's a designer behind it. And the man says, you're right. It's either by chance or it's by design. And to accept that it happened design, and he literally said this, means we have to surrender. And that is simply untenable for me. He got it. He understood. Because all of a sudden, if things happen by design, then we're subordinate. Guess what? We've got to comport to the laws of God. I mean, on one hand, it's you eat Krishna Prasadam instead of bones and feathers, you're going to be a lot healthier and happier. But it's a pride issue. So anyway, I just wanted to show you this was a report given to the GBC explaining what they're up to so that we can help. So next, let's show this. Now, I think, okay, now this is, these are the founding members of the Bhakti. This is obviously Srila Prabhupada. This is Rupa Nuga. This is devotee named Madhava. Where is Swarup Damodar Maharaj? Anyway, he's in here. And this is our Sariputta. Where's Brahma Tirtha? Oh, my glasses on. Anyway, show me the next. So this is, here's Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. This is Madhava. This is Sariputta, Dasada. And this is Brahma Tirtha. You know, the Peace Corps worker has I think he has a PhD now in geology. He worked for an oil company. He was the perfect questions, perfect answers, met Prabhupada as a Peace Corps worker. And here is our Brahma Tirtha. Time has its effect. Here's our Brahma Tirtha, who is the director of the Bhaktivedanta Institute. So, the intellectual resource for ISKCON outreach and inreach for its devotees. Elevate the scientific and philosophical education standards of our society. So for elevating the devotees' understanding of these principles, so we can think, oh, you're just a sentimentalist. You know, okay, you want to think there's some man in the sky or lady in the sky that's, you know, going to maintain everything. But you want to believe in a mystical Santa Claus, fine. I'm a realist. I believe in science. Well, how do we deal with that? Because we have to deal with that. Because if you don't clear that out of their head, like I was saying, they can't accept the principles of Krishna consciousness. So next, this is the Bhaktivedanta Institute for Higher Studies. This is their headquarters. This is right on the campus. This used to be the house, the official residence of the president of the, Go Gators? What is it? Florida State, a Florida State, Alachua, where we have our Prasadam program and there in Gainesville. And this was Fridananda Maharaj took a large percentage of his inheritance and bought this. And it's right next to the college campus. It's a very prestigious, it's in the Florida Historical Record. And this is our Bhaktivedanta Institute. Next. So the subject groups, modern and Vedic cosmology. This will be the TOVP, the fifth canto made, understandable. Mind, brain, consciousness studies. Is the body, is my sense of self just brain function? Is there a ghost in the machine? Is there a soul that's separate? And this is increasing. AI, they cannot make a machine feel. They are completely, I mean, they can do some mechanical robotics. They can get, what is it, chat, GBT, whatever it is. They can do some stuff. And it's impressive. But you ask them to explain feelings, which are the very essence of personhood. I have feelings. I have emotions. And what was I thinking of so one of the top, so there used to be maybe 1%, 2%, just like you have oil and water. Let me say it this way. You ever seen what it's called, a chart of the elements? What are those things called? A periodic table. All right, so they break everything down to the building blocks of matter. This is the stuff that matter's made out of. And somehow or the consciousness is generated from matter. It's just brain function. That's a mystical sound. There's an off button on that thing. You'll be amazed to find. Don't worry about it. So, no, that's all right. So brain function. It just threw me off for a minute. The emotion. So one of these so it's a growing field that actually there's a growing percentage of AI experts, artificial intelligence, at MIT, at Caltech, whatever it is around the world, University of Chicago, they're beginning to think, like the periodical table, there's something called consciousness. It's an irreducible fact of material nature. Like oil and water, you can shake it, it'll mix, but ultimately it'll separate. They don't know what it is, they don't know how it operates, because, like I say, they can't explain emotion. On the other side, they say, when you hit your hammer, hit your thumb with a hammer, you shouldn't say, I'm in pain. You have to explain it by saying, my C fibers are firing. Now you hit your thumb with a hammer. Is that your reaction? Oh, I say, my C fibers are firing. Hopefully you say Krishna Govinda or a whole lot of colorful other words, But so they can't explain what is the experience of the color orange. Confirmed. So the point I'm making, when they say brain, mind, consciousness studies, these are the fields they're working on. Biology and evolution. Do things devolve? Did we come from prebiotic soup? They say, and the guy was at UCSD, University of California, San Diego, that Stephen Miller, and they say that Stephen Miller created life in a test tube. Took prebiotic soup, shot electricity through it, and created a life. We've done it already. Actually, that's not true. What he created was a simple protein, actually an amino acid that's a building block of a protein. And proteins are the beginning of the first single cell paramecium or bacteria. So it's like suppose I gave you a hubcap and I said, here's a Cadillac, pay me for it. You're going to do that? You get a hubcap and you're going to accept, well, wait, that's just the first step of the thing. So they are so far away from creating life. And I'll give you an example. And we're a little afield, but that's okay. What time is it? Oh, we're way afield. Okay, we'll finish this one. But just to give you one simple example, the different machines take electricity and produce electricity. Or let's say there's different types of motors. I'll say it this way. You've got a gas combustion motor, right? That's moving a car forward at so many horsepower. So you need a certain amount of gasoline or biofuel, whatever it is, and it explodes. It, the piston moves, and it goes to the dry, and the car moves forward. So you've got to put X amount of energy to get the thing to move Y distance. So there's a ratio. And gas combustion is one of the most inefficient. A little bit better is a steam motor, a little bit better is this. Maybe you go all the way up to atomic, I don't know what is. But there's different amount of energy that goes in. There's amount of energy that produced or motion produced. And according to that, there's a ratio, and they measure the efficiency. Now, a one-cell paramecium, which doesn't even have a brain. I don't even know if it has a nervous system. But it has a little flagella or whatever it is. For the amount of energy that goes in, its ability to move itself forward, up, down, so many different things, is the most efficient motor known. And it happened by chance. We're running out of energy, desperate to figure out how solar energy, wind energy, so many things, But this little thing, without even a brain or emotion, it happened by chance. So that's biology, evolution. That's the kind of thing they're working on. And they're also designing the displays for the TOVP, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. In addition to seeing the deities and the structure of the fifth canto of the cosmos, there'll also be all these different principles of these different. This is Prabhupada's layout. Prabhupada described it. People will walk in, and they'll come in with their materialistic conceptions, reductionist worldview, and by displays, experiences, as they go through all the different displays, you saw the design all the way up, all their material conceptions will be shredded. Okay, so these are the things they're working on next. So here's the team. Here's Brahmatirtha Prabhu. This is a Kandidi too. His special field is consciousness and brain function. Check it out. PhD in astronomy and physics, masters in physics. This is he's the manager. This is a PhD in physics. Gives you the idea of the caliber of these, and these are from top universities. Next. These are some of the places they've given presentations by invitation, held seminars, taught courses. Oh, this isn't. We've got Stanford. We've got University of Virginia. That's the whole thing. Out-of-body experiences. They can't deny it anymore. I've got a pacemaker. I've got 2 stents. I'm not going to die on you now, but the doctor that I went to graduated from Harvard Medical School, and he's a nice guy. When I walked in, he teaches at UCSD in their college, and I'm dressed like this. He said, a monk. This will be good karma for me. So, he's a nice guy. We got to know each other. I gave him some books to read. We're talking. He said, I can talk to you. You're a monk. I can talk to you. He said, I don't know what it is. I don't want to go down the path of magical thinking. And I'm not, not going all the way over the edge, right, to believing in spiritual things. He said, but something leaves the body at the time of death. He says, they say it's the heart, the electricity, the impulse isn't there, and the brain. He said it's something different. And I've talked to a lot of my doctor friends. He was telling me that something happens at the time of death. So how to convince them that they're at Stanford, they're at Caltech, so many places, IIT. We're big. And we're training those scientists to then help in this field. Next. So this is one of their conferences, Mind, Brain, Consciousness Conference. And this one was put on at IIT Mumbai. IIT Mumbai, even at Harvard or MIT, they're a little hesitant. Oh, they're impressed. So it's actually working. What Prabhupada established, Sadhaputta out there digging fence posts in New Vrindavan. Here we are 50 years later, and it's one of the cutting edge research institutes for what is actually happening. That maybe consciousness, because as soon as you accept that consciousness is its own tattva, is its own element, it's an irreducible factor of material phenomena, is consciousness. Whoa, the world opens up to the soul, and as soon as you accept soul, you got reincarnation, you got the whole thing opens up. Next. So this is just one of their conferences. This is a 30th anniversary Science of Consciousness.
Here. Yeah, that was here. I was here in Tucson.
Was here. Hey, look at that. Tucson's on the map. Next. I think we're almost done. So this is a sampling of some of their publications. What we're going to do now, this is just to show you that all around the world, just as you're doing here with the beautiful new temple you're going to build and all the nice preaching you're doing, it's happening all over the world. Mahaprabhu's movement is a reality. So I wanted to end. Let's show that. Do we need to put the mic by it or no? Okay, get it ready. Okay, hold on before you hit the button. Can we jack up the volume all the way?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so now what this, wait. Stop it. Stop. Oh, you paused it. Okay, thanks. Sorry about that. This is the opening. I showed you that there's three sides to the TOVP because we're giving money all over the world. Ambarish has given the total cost with the displays is going to be about $60 million. Now, we've already raised about $40 million from temples around the world, from Ambarish Prabhu has given the lion's share. So devotees around, this is, and Prabhupada said that this is the desire of the acharyas in Mayapur to build this temple. And it'll rock the world because it challenges all of these worldviews. So this is the one side. There's three parts. One side will be the Vedic planetarium. They'll do IMAX on all different Vedic themes. That'll be first class with all the displays underneath it. It'll have classrooms and retreat seminars and researchers. The other side is Lord Nrsinga's temple. And in the middle will be this, Radha Madhava, the beautiful Ashtatattva, the 8 gopis. There'll be the acharyas, there'll be the Panchatattva, and there'll be Radha Madhava. And then there'll be this giant chandelier, so you can stand on Bhumi Loka in the planet Earth and look all the way up to Vaikuntha, to Krishna Loka, to the lotus feet of Radha Krishna in Vrindavan, and it will all explain the 5th canto the simultaneously as it turns will explain all the different phases of the moon. It'll explain eclipses and line up what their modern perception is. It's just mind blowing. So this is the opening. They've finished the wing for Lord Nrsingadev. They'll move him in 2006. That's the plan. Actually move the deity, but they've got a Utsav deity installed now. So this is the one step further to finishing the TOVP. And it's only 3 or 4 minutes, but I thought you would find it enlightening. Next. Yeah, now you can play. Thanks. It's not Photoshop, my friends. That's the real thing.
Thank you all so very much for supporting this project.
This is Ambarish offered Ford.
Delivering this dream to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada.
Lord Nrsimhadev is coming. Lord Nrsimhadev is coming. Lord Nrsimhadev is coming. Garijantam, Garjayantam, Nijabhajapatatam, Surpajantam, Adantam, Divyantam, Tathayantam, Dividuviditam, Shepayantam, Shipantam, Kandantam, Roshayantam, Disi Samharantam, Barantam, Vikshantam, Dhopayantam, Karanikara Sathai, Divya Simham, Namami. This is Lord Nrsimhadev. He will be roaring today when we open this way, protecting all of us so that this Sankirtan movement can be spread in every town on the road.
We are once again so very grateful.
This is Ambarish's better half, Swaha.
Supported us through everything, but come to celebrate this wonderful moment in history. So thank you very much. Srila Nrsimhadev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namaste, Kamala Jagadeesha Hare, Jai Jagadeesha Hare, Jagadeesha Hare.
So there's a little sample. You are part of this. You're helping build it. And it's one of the amazing, like the ocean of milk was churned and so many things came out of it. From the desire of the acharyas, from Srila Prabhupada's order, from Mahaprabhu's mercy. So many things are coming out. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thanks, Mataji.
When the BI was here with that, we did that consciousness.
Yeah.
Kind of neat. We gave the Sunday feast. It was so amazing.